Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another University Guys webinar. We were just talking in our little waiting room before we come in that we perhaps could not have timed this webinar more perfectly given the news that I know many of our audience are aware of in terms of the news that came from England yesterday about fee status for EU students. Despite that change, we're hopefully going to be able to give you a really high-powered and very informative session about Irish universities, a sector I've come to know quite well in recent times. For those who are new to me and new to University Guys, my name is David Hawkins. I'm the director and founder of the company. We support students and indeed schools with international university applications. I do this as a member of the Council of International Schools, Council of British International Schools, the International Association for College Admissions Counselling, and also the US IECA. And very much enjoy doing these webinars for friends in schools all around the world to try and bring some light onto new topics that I think are really important for us to be aware of. And nothing really probably could be more important right now for students, maybe from the EU looking for new options, but indeed international students who may think of Ireland as a destination that could be that perfect fit for them. I'll ask my panel just to run through and introduce themselves, and then I'll do a little bit of housekeeping and hand over. So Donica, over to you first for a little introduction.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. My name is Donica O'Mahony. I'm a guidance counsellor in Loretto College, Stephen's Green. I also run O'Mahony Careers and the @LeavInsert Guidance Instagram page.
Hey everyone, I am Colm Cronin. I am currently the Senior International Officer at Dublin City University.
Hello everybody, I'm Patricia Hayden, but I go by Patty, and I am the coordinator for North America full degree recruitment at Maynooth.
And Deirdre, I think we're having some sound issues, so Patty, do you mind introducing Deirdre and we'll see whether we can get that fixed?
No problem at all. Deirdre is a colleague of mine. She does she's an international officer and does the full degree admissions at Maynooth.
Right, and we may be having relaying of Deirdre's answers through Patty as we'll try and get that tag sorted as we go through. Thankfully, Maynooth are the third of the three presentations, so great, thank you. My colleagues will possibly disappear for a little bit from screen and from sound because we're going to run through the presentation in the order of starting off with an overview from Donica about the general situation to be aware of with Irish universities, a little bit about CAO and those kind of things. Then Colin's going to talk about DCU as one particular example, and then we'll hear from Patty about Maynooth. Before we kind of get into that, I just want to highlight the fact that we have a questions panel on GoToWebinar. A really wonderful tool where, as we are going through, those of you joining us can ask questions in there, and all the individual participants from the panel can see those, can answer things as they go, and can respond. So if you've got something that comes up you think is very niche, please put it in there. We do also have the questions that were submitted in advance. We'll try to get to some of those. And also, please, we'll have a Q&A at the end. All those questions and indeed your contact details, if you gave permission to share them, will have gone to the participants as well. So even if we don't get to your question during the session, we will do our very best to follow up with those afterwards. Very briefly before we move on, and Donica gives us the sort of general overview about studying in Ireland, I just want to emphasise the fact that certainly some of the questions I've seen on social media over the last 24 hours from counsellors sometimes kind of get Ireland, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, the UK, the British Isles a little bit confused, and who follow Brexit debate in the UK may have realised that we were perhaps a little confused about some of those things. Really important to emphasise that the Republic of Ireland, which we're talking about today, as distinct from Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom in terms of higher education, the Republic of Ireland is part of the European higher education area, and will be remaining so after Brexit. It is not impacted politically in that way at all. And so the Bologna process, which harmonised the three-cycle system of a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctoral degree across 48 different countries, will ensure that this quality assurance and the recognition of qualifications of period of studies remains for universities and higher education, indeed all education in the Republic of Ireland. This is a level of nuance which sometimes students and families may not be aware of, but it's really important for the purposes of today that we understand that all the universities we're talking about are still going to be intimately linked into the European higher education area. For those who may want some follow-up to share with students or parents afterwards, I'll point in the direction of a podcast episode I did with the University Guide podcast, which was focusing on study in Ireland with my colleague Dervla O'Reilly from Trinity College Dublin. Dervla, I know, registered for the the webinar. So Dervla, if you're there, hello. You can find the podcast on the website, theuniversityguys.com, or in all other kind of podcasty places like Apple or Spotify. And if you do want to get hold of me in terms of any particular questions, my contact details should be coming onto the screen in just a second. David@theuniversityguys.com, and all the relevant social media here as well. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of elegant tech and hand over to Donica so that we can see his screen, and then I'll pass on to him as the absolute expert of experts, everything to do with studying in Ireland. So hopefully, Donica, that's just given you permission and you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Now, so I want to share this, is it?
There you are.
Yeah.
We can see your screen, so you just need to make that presentation full screen, I think.
Okay, perfect. We can do that. Let me see here. Sorry, apologies. Okay. Okay, so I'm very excited about the opportunity of telling you guys, why students should come to Ireland, be it EU or non-EU students, to come and study here in Ireland. Officially, when England leave the EU, Ireland will be the only English-speaking country in the EU. It is cheaper to study in Ireland compared to the UK. So that was a little note I actually had on before yesterday's news, where we talked about, where we heard that EU students will now pay international fees in the UK. So particularly with yesterday's announcement, students paying international fees, it'll be a lot cheaper to study in Ireland. Ireland offers a stay and work visa. So this is run by the Irish Naturalisation and Immigration Service. This will allow postgraduates who have graduated out of Irish university or college to stay for 2 years and work after they've completed their studies. For undergraduates, it'll be 12 months. They'll be allowed to stay afterwards if they've graduated from an Irish higher education institute. So that's a little bonus for students after they graduate, that they can stay and work for a couple of years afterwards. We also have an earn as you learn. So while you're studying in Ireland, you can work up to 20 hours a week, so part-time hours. You don't need a work visa. You can work, if you're a student here, up to 20 hours a week. And during holiday or vacation time, you can work up to 40 hours a week. So again, another little bonus there while you're studying in Ireland. Ireland is the second most attractive country for foreign direct investment after Singapore. We have some major multinational companies in Ireland who've set up their European headquarters here, like Google, Facebook, Airbnb, PayPal, Microsoft, Twitter, eBay, and LinkedIn. So there's a big move towards innovation in Ireland, and it's something that the Irish government are very receptive towards. So The Economist magazine, in the December-January 2017 edition, there was an article by James Tozer, and he outlined in his article that graduates from Irish institutions can expect greater lifetime earnings than those who graduated from anywhere else in the OECD. So again, that's something worth noting if you're considering Ireland as well. So about Irish higher education, there are 3 types of higher education institutes in Ireland: universities, institutes of technology, which are slowly making their way to be universities of technology, and private colleges as well. All Irish universities are in the top 3% of universities around the world, according to the QS rankings of 2021. So we have a great tradition of international students coming to Ireland. More than 1 in 10 full-time students in Ireland come from overseas. There are 35,000 international students from 161 different countries come to study in Ireland every year. So if you were applying to Ireland as an EU EEA student, you would have to apply through the CAO website. and that means it's the Central Applications Office. So it's something similar to UCAS in the UK. It's a central system. The CAO provides an application pack with handbook, which lists all the courses on offer and how to apply for each one. Applications are done online, which makes it easier. Applicants will need to have taken school leaving exams, satisfy general entry requirements, and satisfy English language requirements. When students are applying for the CAO, they just list their courses in order of preference. There's total flexibility on what courses you want down. For example, through UCAS, you're only allowed to have 4 medical courses, where in Ireland, you can have as many as you like. There are up to 20 places that you can apply for. This is the IB points equivalency. So I know a lot of students applying for Ireland will have done their baccalaureate. Basically, if you want to divide your IB score by 45 and multiply it by 600, that will be the equivalent to CAO Leaving Cert points. And the majority of courses, well, all the courses in Ireland will have a point system connected to them. So if you want to convert, again, your IB points into Leaving Cert points, you can divide it by 45 and multiply it by 600. There are bonus points available to IB students who have done higher level maths and have got a level 4 or above in their results. That will add 25 additional points to their score. Only results taken at a single sitting will be included in your points calculation. So when you sign up for the CAO, there are a number of dates you'll have to look at. Again, this is only for EU EEA students. So the initial deadline is the 20th of January in 2021. I'd imagine that'll be similar as well. And the application fee before that is €30. If you wait until the 1st of February, the application for that is €45. So the earlier you do your application, the cheaper it is. The CAO then will close between the 5th of February and the 5th of May. This allows for courses that require interviews, exams, any different sort of entry requirements. And then on the 5th of May, the CAO will open back up. This is called the Change of Mind Facility. And you will have up until the 1st of July to make as many changes as you like, free of charge, to your CAO list. The CAO application is not a complicated one. If you're unsure about it, however, there is a CAO demo application, and this can be done on the cao.ie website if you wanted to have a look at it and see, kind of how it works. Now, if you were to apply as a non-EU applicant, applicants who are applying as non-EU applicants apply directly, and that's important. You apply directly to the university. Applicants will need to be taking school leaving exams, satisfy the general entry requirements, and satisfy the English language requirements. However, there is more information than EU students would have to give, such as predicted grades, references, motivational statements, and even chatting about things like extracurricular activities that you would do. All of these things will be taken into consideration by the higher education institute that you were applying for. Now, offers to non-EU applicants are made on a rolling basis. So offers are done from January onwards, depending on when you've applied. So you can be offered a place in January as a non-EU student compared to the end of August, like Irish and EU applicants. And so I think every 3 weeks, these applications are made from January, depending on when you put in your application. And just a quick note, and this applies for Irish students, EU students, non-EU students, that you must complete the HPAT exam if you want to do medicine in Ireland. Okay, so it's something similar to the BMAT and UKCAT in the UK and the IMAT in Italy. Okay. Fees, so tuition fees are paid by the Higher Education Authority, so the Irish government, for Irish and EU nationals entering third level for the first time. If you are eligible for the Higher Education Free Fee Scheme, you will have to pay a student contribution of €3,000. This covers non-tuition services such as exam entry fees, support for student services, and support for student clubs and societies. So if you're an EU student, you would pay €3,000 a year. For non-EU undergraduate tuition fees, they vary considerably depending on the institution and depending on the program of study. If you're doing the likes of arts or humanities, will be a lot cheaper compared to something in the health sciences, which would be on the more expensive end of non-EU undergraduate fees. So tuition fees don't remain static, so it's important to double check fees with the institutions you're applying for. Despite all this, tuition fees are cheaper than in countries like the USA or Australia. There are hundreds of scholarships for international students available from a wide variety of sources, such as the Government of Ireland, higher education institutes, and other sources. And again, there's a little link. I'll give this PowerPoint to David. There's a few links in it if you want to have a look and see those couple of web pages. Some really, really good websites if you're planning on applying to study in Ireland. Careersportal.ie and Qualifax.ie are similar in that they give you all course information and detail on each course you would like to apply for. And then CAO.ie is the Central Applications Office. That's the system if you want to apply for college in Ireland as an EU student, you would apply through CAO.ie. So my Instagram handle is @LeavingCertGuidance, and I have a website there, or sorry, an email address, donica@o'mahonycareers.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Donica. Hopefully everyone listening who may not have got to know Donica as I do will realise that he really is the guy who knows this stuff. And if you are on Instagram and don't follow Leaving Cert Guidance, absolutely please do. Donica is also the absolute expert in terms of doing amazing Instagram lives with people from all sorts of Irish universities, including a wonderful one yesterday. Was obviously a live tour of a furniture workshop, Donica, which was an extraordinary thing to see. So I would strongly recommend you follow that. So we're just switching over now. Colm has presenter rights as well, so we will hearing a little bit about DCU, Colm.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much. Let me just pull up my screen here, and we should be good to go. There we go. Is that showing for everybody?
That is absolutely, and so Donica, just there's a lot of questions which you might be able to answer, which come to the questions pane. So if you can, well, you may want to disappear and head into there. There'll be a lot of very grateful counsellors. So we can see you, Colm. Over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, David. So I'm just going to talk through Dublin City University, Ireland's University of Enterprise, and our tagline is purposefully different, consistently excellent. And I'm going to talk about maybe some of the differences that I see at DCU. Now, a little bit about me for those people who might not know me. I have worked at a number of institutions in Ireland, and I see some of my former colleagues are attendees today. So I worked at Trinity, I worked at UCD, and now very happy to be working at DCU. But I do think the entirety of the education sector in Ireland is really, really strong. I also worked at the Irish Naturalisation and Immigration Service that Donica mentioned earlier. So, and I studied at University College Cork. So I know the sector pretty well. I ran a study abroad program. And David, like yourself, I have a podcast called Adventures in Advising, which focuses on higher ed issues and really kind of international issues. So that's a little bit about me. But for those of you not familiar with Ireland, Dublin is Ireland's capital city. In Irish terms, it's very big, but in global terms, it's not. It's a city of about 1.4 million in Greater Dublin, but it's a very compact city, very easy to navigate and get around. And DCU is located, as you can see there, kind of between the city centre and the airport. And so close links to industry that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But I live on the south side of the city, and when I am in the office and not traveling or not working from home in the current climate, I am able to walk into DCU every day. So that'll give you an idea of just how easy it is to kind of navigate Dublin. We also have a wonderful public transport infrastructure. So then in terms of what DCU has to offer, it is a comprehensive university. So we have everything from a foundation program through bachelor's degrees, so 3 or 4 years, and those 4-year options, many of them have a 1-year internship or a study abroad or Erasmus opportunity. Where we probably see most of our international students, and I think it would be fair to say in Ireland at the moment, is in the 1-year master's programs, because in many parts of the world you have to undertake a 2-year master's, and in Ireland you can undertake a 1-year master's and have that 2-year stay back option. If you are a non-EU national, you can have the opportunity to work for 2 years. Obviously, if you're an EU national, you have the ability to work without restrictions. One of the nice things about having that EU passport is the ability to work anywhere within the EU. But we would also have a significant number of international students, both from the EU and non-EU, undertaking PhD research at DCU. I'm not going to talk you through all the courses, but I just kind of wanted to highlight, I suppose, some of the options that are available to students. And you can see there, it is very comprehensive. We have what is the largest institute of education in the country, and a couple of the others that probably stand out there are around law and government, where we see significant numbers of international students, and also the School of Communications will be another. Of course, there is building work going on in my apartment block, so you may be able to hear some of that. Now, I'll talk a little bit in a minute around Dublin being a tech hub. And there was a report that came out last night, so I didn't get to put it in the slide, but it talked about Dublin being the 2nd best tech city in the world. So our graduates from engineering and computing tend to get jobs, and they get very, very good jobs. And the other then is around our business school. So there are different options in there. Maybe aviation management is something that is a little bit different from offerings in other institutions, and that is something that we have seen certainly grow in increasing popularity, because there are opportunities for students to go into pilot studies, to work as air traffic controller, or to go into the management side of things within that. And we also have opportunities within our business school for students who don't have a business background. Maybe they have a science background, but they found themselves working in business, and they're now looking to take the next step. So one of the things I think all of the Irish institutions focus on is really around employability. It's something that we pride ourselves on, something that we put a lot of focus on, and certainly at DCU, that was one of the main reasons DCU was founded, was to provide graduate employment opportunities on the north side of the city, and we're celebrating our 40th year this year. So our career service, like all the career service, do a lot of work. I suppose a couple of things just to highlight there would be for the incoming students, they can access a lot of what the career service does prior to even entry via the podcasting. And obviously there are lots and lots of different events that take place. I think one of the other things is that's probably worth noting is the intra-work placements, and DCU is one of the first in Ireland to bring in paid work placements, and also at postgrad level. Because postgrads, as I said, 1-year master's programs, there's not really enough time to do a full internship, which tends to be 6 months. But our instead of a dissertation, our students have the option of undertaking a practicum, and that is like a consultancy report. So they work with industry in groups of 2s or no more than 3, and they solve real world issues. So when they graduate, they have the beginnings of a portfolio that they can take with them. And I think that's one of the reasons that our graduates are so sought after. And when we see this year in the QS rankings, we were named the #1 in Ireland for graduate employment rate and number 19 in the world. So our graduates get jobs, and they get very, very good jobs, and that's whether they're from the EU or from outside of the EU, because of that stay back option that provides a real pathway onto work permits in Ireland. So I just wanted to put in here, I think, around, you know, because there's been a lot of concern, I think, around COVID and around, you know, the Irish economy and will it bounce back? And I think Ireland is, you know, well placed to bounce back pretty strongly. You can see the OECD said they expect the impact to be the least severe. And I'm going to talk about the major industries in Ireland, but we know big tech continues to hire. I mean, Facebook said they're going to look to hire 10,000 people before the end of the year. We know Google and the others are doing the same. And the Dublin really is the Silicon Valley of Europe. You can see some of the companies, and that's not even all of them, that have their European headquarters here in Dublin. And I mentioned the practicum, or at undergrad level, the students who are doing those intra placements. These are some of the companies they go to. And I think you can see in terms of software, pharma, financial services, medical tech, all of those industries are going to be, you know, increasingly important in this COVID and the post-COVID world. So I do think the opportunities that will exist for students will be really, really strong, and graduates will still have opportunities when they graduate from Irish institutions. We know that those exist. Anyone watching this, whether you're working in the industry, whether you're a counsellor, whether you're a parent, you probably have a lot of familiarity around student life and what you know, universities have to offer. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. I think all Irish institutions can stand over the fact that we have vibrant international communities on campus, and the students have access to health centre, counselling service, great sports facilities, and various other amenities on campus. But one of the things maybe I want to highlight around DCU, because one of the things I really like is that DCU walks the talk. So when it comes to that holistic education that we talk about, and having students really have that experience outside the classroom, students can gain extra credits at DCU. So at undergrad level, that can be credit bearing. At postgrad level, not so, but it is an option to put it on the transcript if a student wants to do that. And it recognizes their involvement with clubs, with societies, with volunteer organizations. And it's something, again, that we have seen that employers like. They like to see that students, obviously they're good academically, they have the qualifications, but they have other interests and they can get involved in different things, because we all know in the world of work, we're all trying to keep a whole host of plates spinning, and so they like to see that. Now, one of the things I think, I'm originally from Cork in the south of Ireland, but I'm living in Dublin for about 14 years, and while Cork will always be home, I think Dublin is a great city, a wonderful city for students. It's consistently ranked as one of the safest large cities in the world. It really is that gateway to Europe, and Ryanair and others have made it possible to travel around Europe. One of the nice things, and one of the things I try to do every weekend, is to get out for a walk or a hike. And I think in this really cosmopolitan, bustling city, young, vibrant, there's lots happening all the time, and students have access to that, and the culture and the gigs and the comedy and everything else. But they also have the opportunity to jump on a bus or on a light rail system and be out in the mountains, be out by the sea in a matter of 20 or 25 minutes. So it can be really useful to students to be able to get that break from their studies and get out for a weekend and really experience Ireland. Now, in terms of DCU and accommodation, we do have accommodation options available. And one of the things I think we've tried to do in this COVID climate is to be as flexible as possible. And we have more information. So if you want more information on our response to COVID, get in touch. And I know David will provide the contact details after. But we're endeavoring to be as flexible as possible. So if students can travel for that first semester, we have an on-time online initiative where students can study online for that first semester and then come to Ireland in the second semester. And we're doing the same with our on-campus accommodation, where we're making it available to students for as little as one night, or they can book right through for the semester or for the year, depending on what their needs are. So we really are trying to meet the students where they are. Donica captured a lot of this, so I'm not going to talk too much around. You've heard about the CAO. It's direct applications at undergrad and postgrad level. Our undergrad deadline is coming up next week. Postgrads have a little bit longer to make that application. We currently use the postgrad application center, but we are building our own in-house system. So David, you might have to have me back on in the autumn to talk about that. In terms of scholarships, we do have a merit scholarship that's available. It's based entirely on the academic side of things, and it's assessed at the time of application. In terms of other events that have been happening, so we just held a series of open days, and all of the content from that is available. That is primarily geared at the undergrad market. So if you're a parent or a counsellor and you're interested in that, we do have that available. Postgrads, we have a lot of stuff available as well. And we just did a webinar yesterday with a number of students. So that's peer-to-peer talking about their experience of moving to Ireland, what that was like, finding accommodation, the immigration system here, the transition to the new learning environment, and also the movement to online classes. And that's directly from the students themselves. And really just to highlight that there are an awful lot of opportunities in Ireland. I think it's a wonderful place for students to come to study and to take advantage of all the opportunities that are there. I know David is going to make the recording available to people on this, so that you'll be able to grab our contact details. And a little bit of Irish for you there to finish up. Gurav Malgut, which means thank you in the Irish language. And I want to hand over to my colleagues from Maynooth so that we have some time to take questions at the end. So a brief run through there, and hopefully an overview of what we have to offer at DCU.
Great, thank you so much, Colin. Fantastic to have that. And I would say again, follow Colin on his social media and things. He's not only a very good in terms of content, he's also a very nice and generous retweeter. So also good stuff in there as well. So Patty, over to you to hear about Maynooth. Your screen is sharing. Have you got your slides that you want to be able to put up?
Okay. Sorry about that.
Great to see so many questions coming in. I think, Colin, you're going to have to delve into there because there's a lot of things in there. Please do keep answering those questions. Deirdre's doing a sterling job as well, despite the fact we can't get a microphone to work, that she is answering those questions. So I will confess that Maynooth has been a university that I'm relatively new to learning about. Some amazing courses that are really a wonderful match for so many students. I've been putting on some students' research lists for last year. And I'll confess it wasn't until I was in a taxi from Dublin Airport to Clongowes Wood School that I even knew where Maynooth is. So Paddy is hopefully going to give you all the wonderful insight into what I think is really a really fantastic opportunity that a lot of students might want to consider. So over to you, Patty.
Perfect. Is my screen showing there?
Your screen is showing. If you maybe want to just start the slideshow, then we'll get it full screen.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so again, my name is Patty Hayden. Obviously, I'm not from Ireland, so I'm not going to attempt the Irish language. I've been living in Ireland for 20 years. I'm originally from the US, Indiana, if anybody's familiar with that. So why Ireland? Well, Ireland is not only a beautiful place to study, but as I mirror some of what Donica and Colin were talking about, it's a very friendly place, and obviously you do get that friendly vibe when you are in Ireland. I've gotten it from the first day I was here. So on to Maynooth. Maynooth is Ireland's only university town. It's located 30 minutes from the capital city of Dublin, and it is also one of the fastest growing universities with over 13,000 students. I've just listed a few of the faculties that we have, but I will go into a little bit more detail on those a little later. So again, just to give you an idea, and I know you've probably seen this already in the previous presentations, but geographically, Ireland is located west of England and continental Europe, and again, the size of the state of Indiana. So it kind of gives you an idea of it's a small place, but it has a very, very big heart. So again, we are only 15 miles away from Dublin city centre, and as Colin mentioned, the bus and rail services are extremely efficient here. So it's easy to get into the city, but also to get further afield as well. You can travel anywhere within Ireland within a few hours. So you really do get the chance to see the whole country while you're studying here. So kind of a fun thing about Maynooth is that we have our own castle. It's located on the south gates of the campus, on the south campus entrance, and it's from the 13th century. So obviously all students take advantage of going to those tours when they're studying at Maynooth, and it's literally right outside the gates of campus. Also, just to give an idea about Maynooth in general, it's very small. So again, you walk out of the gates of campus, you walk by the castle, and you're in town. So you have access to all the shops and pubs and anything that you might need during the day. There's no need to travel a long distance. You don't need a car. So everything's very user-friendly and close by. So next, just wanted to give you a few rankings there. We were very happy to see this morning that we are number 43 in the Times Higher Education Young University rankings. So that's the universities that are 50 years or younger. And that ranking just came out this morning. So we're really happy to be a part of that. The other rankings are listed there, but I will move on to my next slide. So at Maynooth, the Bachelor of Arts degree is our most popular degree. And the reason for that is that students have a choice of over 36 subjects across 6 subject groups. So you have a really, really wide range of different courses and modules that you can take. And once you kind of get into what you want to do, then you can zero down and specialize in the areas that that you find that you want to learn more about. So I'm just going to go through a few of our more popular subjects. All of the subjects, I have links on them. So when I share the presentation with David or with any of you, it's very simple. You can click on the link to get full information about that subject. So a few of those that I'm going to mention today are, sorry about that, whoops. The Faculty of Arts, Celtic Studies, and Philosophy. So we have the Ancient Classics, English, History, Media Studies, Music, and then Early Irish. And then in the Faculty of Social Sciences, again, we have Anthropology, Economics, Finance and Accounting, Geography, Law, Business, and Sociology. And then, of course, the Faculty of Science and Engineering. So biology, chemistry, computer science, engineering, physics, math and statistics, and psychology. So again, I'm not going to go into those on their own, but if you'd like, you can just click on the link of any of those to get an idea of what those subjects entail. And of course, the languages. So at Maynooth, we have a Chinese studies program, French studies, German studies, and Spanish and Latin American studies. And just to let you know that we do have a very, very vibrant study abroad program at Maynooth University. all students are eligible to study abroad for 1 semester or 1 full academic year. That does depend on their program. And we are partners with over 200 universities worldwide. So students can not only get the benefits of Ireland, but if they want to spend some time a little further afield while they're studying with us, they do have that option as well. Our student services, which is very broad, we have an access office. We have over 100 student clubs and societies, and that includes everything from Harry Potter to sports to trampolining. So really your students would be able to find something that they would be interested in, and it's a great way to meet new friends and share amazing experiences. We also have the Maynooth Students Union, the Buddy program, which is really cool. It matches international students with local students, so it'll give your students kind of a friend straight away that's local, and it helps them those first few weeks or months of kind of finding their way when you start somewhere new. The Student Services Center, we also have a writing support center and a math support center, and the Program Advisory Office, which assists undergrad students in their first year. So accommodation, I do have a link there for the virtual tour, but I won't show that right now, but it is there. So again, ensuite apartments located on campus, 24/7 on-campus security, an open plan design with a fully equipped kitchen, including a microwave, oven, and fridge, and of course reception with laundry facilities and your own mailbox. The cost per year is approximately $5,500 US to $7,100 US, so very affordable as well. And just to the tuition and financial aid. So again, this was mentioned earlier that it does depend on the program that you're taking, but the tuition fee is approximately $15,000 to $16,800 US. And I know from having done my undergrad in the States, that is less than out-of-state tuition. Your full tuition fees only have to be paid before starting the program. And of course, we accept U.S. federal aid. So the federal aid loan program, the GI Bill, and private loans as well. So it's another way to be able to afford coming to Maynooth. The admissions requirements are there for your information. Minimum GPA 3.0 out of 4.0 for most programs, and 3.5 to 4.0 for certain ones. We have the minimum scores there for the SAT and ACT, and of course super scoring applies if the tests are taken in the previous 2 years. So how do you apply? Well, very easily, you can use our PAC system, or you can use the common application. So the links are there as well. And to apply, you just need, the student will need the high school transcript, a passport, and application fee. And our international office will provide full support during the application process. So again, to keep in mind that no entry visa is required for US citizens, and again, we will give you full assistance when applying for any immigration information that you need. So it was talked about already, but just to highlight it again, the employability aspects of coming to school in Ireland, that the visas that we have in place, and also as Colin mentioned, we have several companies based in Ireland, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, just to name a few. And then just to wrap it up, again, my name is Patty Hayden. My email address is there. And if anybody has any questions at any time, please feel free to get a hold of me. So thank you for listening, and I'll hand you back to David.
Fantastic. Thank you, Patty. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please do keep putting those in. Patty, if you want to stop sharing screen now, then we'll all be able to come back on for a bit of Q&A. Let me just see whether I can get my tech to do that as well. There we are. So if I ask the panelists to head back with their webcams, I will do just mine as well, and we'll go into things there as well. So I'm going to delve into some of the questions that have come in, and some of the other things that are coming in. I'm also trying to multitask and put in a link from my own website into the chat window so everyone can see that as well, because one of the questions that's come in has been about points, about the conversion, about why points matter. And I think it's really important that to understand that, and Donica, I think you'll be able to talk through this probably the best of any of us. What we're talking about here was what happens in August for an Irish or an EU applicant. We're really talking about a matching procedure, really, aren't we, at the end, rather than an application procedure. And I'm going to paste in a link to my website, which has got a YouTube video embedded, which talks us through. But Donna, could you mind explaining to people why maybe a course that this year needed these points, but the previous year it needed different points, and what happens when that all kind of confirmation period happens in August?
Okay, so the maximum amount of points you can get in the Leaving Cert is 625 points. Now, if there's 50 places for Irish and EU students on a course, the person who gets the very first place will be the person who got the most points. So say, for example, that's 625. And then we'll fill each place right down to the 50th place. So going based on the grades. Now, if the 50th place, the person got 487 points, then the points for that year would be 487. So it's based on the last person who got into the course that year. So that's why it fluctuates every year. Sometimes the last person that got in might be 485, previous year before might have been 490. Now, points do fluctuate within the CAO system, but not as much as some students might hope. They only fluctuate by 4 or 5, maybe 10, 20 points on a really good year.
Right, thank you. And so it's important also then for people to understand there are rounds of how that goes as well. So Donna, could you mind just explaining about how, you know, maybe you've just missed out on your first choice. So what happens if you then take a second choice, and how the rounds work?
Okay, so in round 1, you'll be offered the course that you got the points for. Now, it's really important that when you're filling out your CAO that you do it in genuine order of preference. So the college you least want to go to would be the last preference. The college you really, really want to go to will be the first preference. Say, for example, in the first round, you got the amount of points for the third place course on your list. Everything from number 4 down will go away and disappear. You cannot get those courses in subsequent rounds. You can accept your number 3 offer if you like. Then in the second round, if a university or college didn't fill all of their places, they will re-advertise them in the second, third, fourth, fifth subsequent rounds until they fill all their places. Okay, it's a tricky one, but you know, it's not that difficult, but it can be when you hear it first time.
Absolutely, thank you, Don. You did an awesome job, better than I do. The video that I've put into the chat window, which takes you to a link on my webpage, is a really great way with graphics of explaining that. So great. Patty and Colin, question for you guys. I know the visa situation is one that is exercised lots of counsellors with various students trying to get in with visas, but Ireland has a pretty nice way of how you get your student visa. So I don't know whether one or other you wants to just explain what that might be like and why counsellors might not need to be particularly concerned.
Go ahead, Colin.
Sure. Well, I suppose, David, there's a couple of things to consider. So anyone holding an EU passport or British passport, given the common travel area, is not going to have to worry about immigration at all. You can come and reside in Ireland for as long as you want. So for those from outside the European Union, there's 2 categories to within that. So there are people who have to get a visa prior to coming to Ireland, and those who don't require a visa prior to arrival. So that really the main groups, those from the United States, from Canada, from Brazil, from Australia, they don't have to get a visa prior to arrival. And all of this is on the INIS website. They have a very simple checkers where you can check to see if you need a visa prior to arrival. If you do need a visa prior to arrival, the process takes somewhere in the region of 4 to 6 to potentially 8 weeks, depending on the circumstances. It's not overly onerous, but what I would say about the visa process and about Ireland in general is we're a nation of storytellers. We love stories, and that bleeds into every single aspect of everything we do. And that's the same with the visa process. So in other countries, it's all done entirely on documents, and they just look at that. In Ireland, they want to understand the story. Why is the student coming to study? What are they studying? And where is the funding coming from? And once that's explained, and then when a student gets their visa, they come to Ireland. All students get a landing stamp, and then they register with the immigration authorities after they arrive, and they get their what's called the IRP, the Irish Residence Permit. And with that card, they can reside, study, and work in Ireland then.
Great, fantastic. And Colin, you cut up a little bit at the start, at least for me. I just wanted to confirm, what was the list of countries where it's visa on arrival?
So it would be worth checking. So visas on arrival, in particular, the United States, Canada, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand. There are a number of other countries as well, but it would be worthwhile checking on the INES website just to make sure. And they do have a very simple checker where you put in the nationality of the passport that you hold, and they let you know you need a visa prior to arrival, or you can arrive without a visa and get a landing stamp.
Great, fantastic. Thank you. Patty, anything to add to that?
No, I think Colin covered it all.
Great, fantastic. Well, Patty, I'm going to come to you then for a question about the NUI. Maynooth is part of the National University of Ireland, and again, this EU, non-EU thing is quite different because the NUI has a couple of potential extra requirements that Irish students might have to get, including the ability to maybe have taken Irish. How does the process of exemption work for an EU student who obviously hasn't studied Irish? What is that sort of thing that councillors should be aware of?
That's something, I'm sorry, I'm not actually familiar with how that process works. That would be something I'd defer to Deirdre on. Unfortunately, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, yeah.
Yeah, so there's an NUI exemption form. It's very easy, it's very simple. You just download a form. If you type in NUI exemption form into Google, the form comes straight up. It's only about 1.5 pages to fill out, just to say that you're not a resident of the country, and that's how you're getting an exemption. A number of Irish students might apply for this exemption based on, if they have learning difficulty, or if they weren't born in Ireland, or if they were coming from Northern Ireland. It's the same for international students as well. You just fill out the NUI exemption form and send it off the NUI. And when the CAO comes up, then they understand that you're exempt from that. The computer will see it, and you can still be offered a place.
Great, thank you, Duncan. And just for those who might not know the idea, can you just explain what the NUI is and which universities are part of the NUI?
So it's the National University of Ireland. So there's National University of Ireland in Galway. Maynooth was National University of Ireland, Maynooth, but in 1997 we became a separate university. So we're branded as Maynooth University. We're still part of the NUI, circle, but they changed the branding to Maynooth University. So that's how that would work.
Great. And there are a couple of other NUI campuses as well?
Yeah, so there's Maynooth, UCD, Royal College of Surgeons, NUI Galway, UCC, places like St. Andrews who are attached to NUI Galway. These will be all NUI campuses, yeah.
Great, fantastic. Brilliant. Donica, a question for you that this was asked in advance. We focus on sort of the traditional research university experiences coming here. I saw there were some questions about level 8 versus level 7. The whole section of the Institutes of Technology, and I made reference to an Instagram live you did yesterday. What's that sector like for students, and why might that be something that the councillors in the call today might want to present to their families as options?
Yes, Institutes of Technology is kind of what it says on the tin. It offers courses more like science, computers, construction, almost more vocational subjects, Institute of Technology. Now, they're in the process, all of these institutes, of changing to universities. So just last year, we have DIT, which is Dublin IT, Blanchardstown IT, and Tala IT came together to form the Technological University of Dublin. Cork IT and Tralee IT are coming together to form the Munster University of Technology. So I know Letterkenny, Sligo and Galway are doing the same thing. So actually ITs are slowly making their way out and becoming universities of technology. And it's really technology subjects, like I said, science, computers, construction. That's more their focus on, rather than the health sciences and arts and things like that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Donica. Colm, I know you mentioned how many different universities you've worked at, and you also look at this from an advising point of view. I cannot not have everyone here and address the issue of VIB to the Leaving Cert for EU citizens and that conversion. However many years I have railed against this to anyone who will listen from Irish universities, this is not something where there is negotiation. This is not something that is in the control of an individual university. This is just the way it is because of the Irish Universities Association. That's correct. And maybe what should councillors do on the basis of that, Colm?
Well, we're about to have a new government in Ireland, and so we're going to be looking at new Minister for Education, new Minister for Higher Education. So there may be the opportunity to reassess, and given the decision that came out of the UK yesterday, I suppose it's a matter of hopefully a better understanding of it, and I think that I'm sure that the sector in Ireland would like it to be re-examined. Certainly those of us I know working on the international side of the house, we would, and it is something that has come up in, I think, each of the institutions that I have worked at. So it is something that those in the sector are aware of, are lobbying on. So hopefully we might see positive change on that side of things with the new incoming government, which should possibly be in place by the weekend. Let's see.
Fantastic, great stuff. And I will say, for those who have seen, I saw a question come in about the difference of IB offer for a non-EU student and IB offer for an EU student. You can see there's some quite stark differences. If you are, for the council friends on the call, if you have Irish families at your schools, and some of you may have pretty well-connected Irish families, they may be a useful resource as well to help Colm, Patty and colleagues also get the point that there is a massive opportunity here. And we were chatting beforehand that we all love the Dutch universities and they are wonderful institutions. It would be nice maybe if Ireland could benefit from England's decision yesterday with students coming that way as well. I'm conscious of going towards time. We talked a little bit about the situation for COVID and what it might mean in terms of various things. But I just wonder whether you've talked about different deadlines for 2020 and also for 2021. If we go to Donica first, then Patty and Colm, are there any kind of particular top tips, particular nuggets of information that the councillors joining us can go back to their communities and say, this is why you should consider Ireland, particularly post-COVID. Here are some good things that you should be aware of. So Donica, I'll come to you first.
Well, as a few mentioned already, and particularly coming out of the news that you shared with us yesterday, David, about EU students starting to pay international fees, it won't be the case here. COVID so far hasn't changed anything. There has been a few deadlines extended for 2020 applicants. So like, for example, veterinary medicine and UCD have extended their work experience deadline. The 1st of July is next week. I know there's a few people had messaged in to say, is it too late to start for the fall of 2020? If you are a non-EU student, I think, contact the institution directly and make a case there. If you're an EU student, you'll have until next week, only if you've already signed up for the CAO. So you have a deadline to sign up for the CAO by the 1st of May. And if you've done that, you can certainly make an application. But so far, I don't think anything has changed much. As Colm said, there is going to be a change of government, hopefully very, very soon. And that might make things more clearer for what's going to happen in September.
Great, fantastic. Thank you. Really useful information there, Donica. Patty, any guidance you might give for the councillors on the call, just as a kind of conclusion to what we've talked about?
Just to kind of mirror what Donica said, that that if you are still a non-EU, if you're interest from non-EU students, definitely have them still get in touch. It is a rolling admissions process for ourselves. We tried to have a deadline of around the 1st of July, but again, with the current situation, we are still accepting applications on a case-by-case basis. So don't feel like it's too late, definitely still get in touch. From the Maynooth perspective, as far as COVID goes, we have been told that there may be a week delay in the start of the semester, but that's still to be confirmed by our registrar. And as far as the semester itself looking, again, not confirmed yet, but we are assuming that it'll be a kind of a hybrid type scenario, which I think a lot of universities are going towards, where some classes are on campus and some are online, depending on what they are. But again, yeah, don't ever feel like it's too late. Definitely still get in touch.
Great, fantastic. And last but not least, Colin.
I suppose Patty has said, I mean, DCU, we're still accepting applications, and I talked about it during my presentation, but I do think there will be wonderful opportunities for students coming out the other side of this. I know the person who runs, if anyone is familiar with Wix, the software company, and runs their Irish operation, and they cannot hire enough people at the moment. They do not have enough graduates, so they're looking to bring people in, and I do think that's something that you'll see replicated, particularly in the tech sector and in pharmaceuticals. So I think there will be opportunities for those who are, coming to Ireland both next year and in the future.
Fantastic.
Just a quick one, David, if you don't mind, before we head off. So there's some brilliant opportunities for non-EU applicants, particularly this year, where it looks like the amount of applications is going to be down. If you look at colleges and universities like the Royal College of Surgeons, generally have about 59 places for Irish EU students, have 220 places for non-EU students for their undergraduate medicine. I think they're going to struggle to fill those this year. So if somebody was interested in that area, I would definitely get in contact with that institution. And there's more like it right around Ireland. So if you're particularly non-EU, there's some great opportunities for you in Ireland this year.
Great, fantastic. That's a really positive message to go on. So thank you to everyone for joining. Particularly thank you for Deirdre, who I know we had issues with the tech, but has been a keyboard warrior answering everyone's questions. So fantastic job. As I hope everyone has realised, I've become a huge fan of my time in Ireland, visiting schools and the wonderful opportunities in the universities sector there as well, and I'm really excited to have been able to put this together. It's great. I think we're going to hear a lot more from wonderful Irish universities as college councillors over the next few years, and I think Donica is going to become a firm fixture on the conference circuit, so we're going to have a little double act coming up there. Please do share all the information that we've got. You will get, whenever the system generates it, I think it's in a couple of hours, you'll get this recording in your inbox. I'll also stick it on the University Guys Facebook page, so you can share it from there. Please do email me with the slides. I'll just say, Patty, Colin, Donica, please send me your slides so I can collate them and send those out as well. So a massive thank you to everybody. Also on a personal note, this is the end of God knows how many live events I've done since COVID started. The summer holidays are coming and I'm looking forward for a break. If you do need to know more about Irish universities, then I cannot suggest more strongly enough to follow Donica at Leaving Cert Guidance on Instagram. Wonderful resources, all sorts of Facebook lives, so Instagram lives on there, amazing opportunities, so please do that. So once again, thanks to Patty, Colin, Deirdre and Donica. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope to see everybody either in a virtual or a real form, preferably over a pint of the black stuff some point very soon. So thank you everybody.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.